G'day my friends, it's Marty Ware here from Marty's Garden, northern New South Wales, just west of Byron Bay in a subtropical climate. Now it does get quite cold winters here, but it's warming up and it's starting to feel like spring. We're only a week away or so from spring, and I've just been getting ready, preparing for the garden to, make my own products, grow my own food and get some food out to the restaurants. Now you can see I've dug a trench here along this bank in front of the cabin. Now what I'm going to be doing is planting these cherry tomatoes here. Now they're just a little scrambler, and they will just scramble along the ground and throw out those little roots and things, and they will sucker down, and I will layer them along the bank instead of actually putting them up vertical onto posts, because I want to just take use of this space here because it's going to get enough sun to produce tomatoes in the winter. In the summer, and I'm going to get them out to the restaurants, and they're already pre-ordered. So more space to grow cherry tomatoes. Now, how am I doing this? Well, if you can see here, these are quite lanky. I bought these from a local nursery down in Byron Bay. It's a handicap nursery where handicapped people work there, and they have okay products, and they have a variety of things. It's a little bit tall, a little bit lanky. It's starting to go a bit yellow. It's running out of nitrogen. Running out of the food there. But see, tomatoes, where those hairs are, each one of those will produce a root, so I'll bury them up to about yay high, and put them into from their little punnets into the trenches, and then just let them scramble along. Now I've had to make this peat mix up here. It's one of those blocks that you buy just from Bunnings or the shop, and in a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm going to mix it right through. Now I've put gypsum in, and you can see the white gypsum through there. Now that doesn't spoil the pH because it's around about a 7, this red soil, and I want to get store as much moisture as I can, because I'm only on rainwater, and I've got a tank over there that's I'm not sure how much I'm going to get out of it with what I'm growing, but I'm hoping that every time it rains it's going to store a lot of moisture into this soil profile using this peat here. Now I've put this chemical fertilizer, well, it's not actually a chemical fertilizer. They quote that it's actually an organic fertilizer. Now it does have some seaweed, some blood and bone, uncomposted manure. It has some gypsum in there, etc., and it's a soil improver. Now the reason I'm not using real blood and bone and the other fertilizers and things is because the local dogs have been coming and digging it up, which is a bit of a problem. But where there's a problem there's a solution, and I will be covering it in mulch, and then eventually over time planting other little cover crops around it and things like that, and I won't be putting anything like that back into the garden again. So it's really just to get them started and kick them along and get them nice and healthy so they don't get any viruses. And I'll be planting them with some basil as well, which is the companion to help them get better flavour and keep pests and diseases away. So the planting and the watering is complete. Now you may notice here that I've actually made it a bit of a cone shape, and I've protected it. I've made it a little bit higher than the tomato. The reason I'm doing that is I want the moisture to stay in there and create a bit of humidity dome, stop any wind from actually taking the transpiration water out of the leaf of the plant, so it can resettle much faster. And I've planted next to it some basil, and which is its companion, as I mentioned before, makes the fruits much sweeter and protects them from diseases and funguses and viruses. So as we go down here, you can see they're all planted in a similar manner. Now I'm not letting the leaves of the tomatoes touch the ground as less as possible, so I don't pick up any little disease, any fungal problems, and just clearing it as I go through. And it doesn't matter if you actually have a few twigs hanging over and things to give them a bit of a shade if you're doing this in a very hot time. But I prefer to do this right now, just in the beginning of spring. The ground's still a bit cold, so they're not going to take off for a while until the worms get in here, the microbes start building, and the soil starts warming up. Now there's an older guy that come out of the pot. He's going to take off much faster. And you can see here's the last one here. So they're all going to scramble down this bank. I'm going to be throwing mulch down the bank, and hopefully it's not going to get washed away in any heavy rains. It'll sit there and mat in nice. Now the weeds, you can see, I'm not worried about weeds. They're actually getting roots back into the soil and starting to hold the bank, and eventually my plants, such as this nasturtium over here, will crawl down the bank as well and start to go up this little pole over the bank, blend in with some different herbs and vegetables and things growing along the side here, which will be for our food, and of course to go out to the restaurants, because I got orders for cherry tomatoes. So in a few days I'm going to stimulate the microbial activity with this worm tea coming through here from the worm farm. Now you can see it's flowing through very fast, it's highly oxygenated. Now I just actually watered them in with a seaweed solution to stimulate the roots and to stop any root shock. And then eventually, to get the microbes growing fast and to get so they get the sugars up to the roots, to the plants, and great tasting fruits, this is one of my secret weapons. My worm farm that produces my own worm tea. Now, if it's not highly oxygenated and it's just dripping through, it's a whole different story. But like this, it's great stuff. Liquid gold. Alrighty, so that's it, my friends. There's some comfrey there, just starting to grow, and there's this little sister that I got some cutting off. Just want to say goodbye and wish you all the best with your gardens. And if you're not, if you want to keep learning more and you're not having such success and you want to learn some tips and tricks along the way, then follow Marty's Garden in YouTube, and I will see you there, my friends. Have a great day, happy gardening, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.